Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about TV, movies, online content, and whatever else our Disney overlords want us to watch. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, and joining me today is Dylan Blight.
Hello, Disney overlords listening in.
And also Nicholas Pryor.
Hello, Disney overlords listening.
Such enthusiasm. Alright, we've got a big show for you this week. We'll be talking about the Apple TV announcement, of course, the Disney finally buying Fox, a bunch of different things in our watch history, and then we'll be talking about the movie we ended up watching, 13 Ghosts.
Yep.
Let's get into it. So this fortnight, I went and saw the new movie Fighting With My Family, the story of WWE Women's Champion Paige. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's pretty by the book sports movie. Of course, it's got The Rock in it, so that kind of is a big draw. He's been a major part of the marketing, but he's honestly barely in it. And to be completely honest, he's kind of shoehorned in, especially his second segment that he's in the movie.
I saw an interview where they said that scene that's in the trailer actually happened or something, though.
Maybe. Which scene?
The one where he like they're in the undercover part or like their first meeting or whatever, and they're talking.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it a WWE produced movie?
I think it's co-produced. Like they put their name on it, but I'm pretty sure it's produced by Dwayne Johnson's company, directed by Stephen Merchant. Yeah, it was just fine. And
The comedian Stephen Merchant.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Weekly.
apparently there was a documentary about them because they're like
not two things I've put together, to be honest.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, there was a documentary about Paige when she was starting out and sort of her start, and this is sort of what this is based on. But the major issue I have with the film is it never explains why she's given the opportunity she's given. It's like they never show her why she's so good at wrestling or why should be given all these chances that she's been given, which kind of irked me. There's also, as a wrestling fan, you just notice some of the historical differences. Certain people aren't there that should be there. Vince Vaughn plays like a coach guy. He's kind of fine. He makes some smart-ass remarks. He seems to be doing everything, whereas in the real world, there'd be a bunch of people doing many parts of his job, so they've kind of condensed everything down. And yeah, it's a fine sports movie. It's not surprising anyway. It kind of goes the way you expect it to. But yes, I enjoyed it coming out of the cinema, and then the more I thought about it, the less highly I thought of it.
I always thought it looked like it just looks like biography light.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
like feel good biography. It's not it's not trying to be hardcore or anything like that, and it's more about, hey, do you like The Rock? Do you like wrestling? Do you like Paige? Yeah. Here we go. Less than like a proper, here's legit what actually happened and stuff.
Yeah, so she's the underdog. She comes back and but she just doesn't feel like she earns anything during the film. So there's that. Nick, you watched Seeking a Friend for the End of the World.
I did.
Yes, with Steve Carell, Keira Knightley.
Yes.
It's an apocalyptic,
Adam Brody.
almost apocalyptic movie. What do you think?
Pre-apocalypse.
Pre-apocalypse, yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't really have much expectations going into it, but I thought it was really well written. Some good comedy. It wasn't all comedy. There was plenty of like drama in, I guess.
Yeah,
The
emotional
only
beats.
negative thing I could really take away with it is that Steve Carell is playing the character Steve Carell always plays. So, like the 40-year-old version kind of like are just very timid and reserved and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But other than
I feel like the only time he doesn't play that character is like Anchorman or
Foxcatcher.
something where he...
yeah. Or Foxcatcher,
well.
yeah.
Fox.
Vice.
I suppose within his comedic roles, the only time I can think of
Yeah.
is like Anchorman, where he's a bit more crazy.
He's the role that comes to mind when you really think of him. like the same kind of over again. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Dylan, you watched Life of the Party with Melissa McCarthy.
That was a movie that exists and is perfectly fine to chuck on in the background if you feel like just a 5 out of 10.
If you want to rack up those Trakt TV stats.
If you want to rack up
Dylan
your
was stat padding.
No, I was like looking through Netflix the other day, and I was just like, I want something that's background material, and I saw it, and I was like, oh fuck it, I'll watch it. Sure. I knew what's her face was from Community was in it. I can't remember her fucking name now. That's why I watched it.
Joel McHale.
No, not John McHale. Not Donald Glover. It was the female. It was Britta. I can't remember her name.
Chevy Chase.
Gillian Jacobs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So she's in it, but yeah, it's just a Melissa McCarthy movie. And I think if you've watched a Melissa McCarthy movie, you know what you're in for, and you even know if you're gonna hate it, love it, just be fine with it. It didn't really, it didn't make me laugh out loud or anything. It was just, it's fine. It's a 5 out of 10 background movie. There's really nothing else to say for it.
Cool. Well, I finally got around to watching The Founder, the 2016 film starring Michael Keaton, where he pretty much...
McDonald's.
The McDonald's movie, pretty much. Have you seen it, Dylan? Or no?
It's on the list.
Yeah. It's really good. Not that it's surprising. I think it got a lot of buzz and critical praise. Mike Keaton's obviously really, really good in it. Obviously, his character takes sort of an arc where he's the guy you get behind. He's trying to make a living, and then he sort of finds it. It explains why McDonald's is kind of the big global company that it is. But it's just how it was founded and how that was exploited and sort of franchised across the world. So yeah, really interesting film. And yeah, Michael Keaton takes an interesting character arc where he kind of ends up in a different place to where it begins, in my opinion. Some other people might not have that same opinion of him, but yeah, really interesting. Speaking of Michael Keaton, I then went and saw Spotlight, the 2015 biography.
Did you say saw, as in you went and watched it in the cinema?
What?
You just said, and then I went and saw.
On
on
Netflix.
Okay, because I was like...
I thought the same thing.
They had a re-showing of Spotlight. I was like, I understand that George Pell just got chucked in prison and all. That's but it's like in celebration of that, let's put Spotlight back in cinemas, everyone.
Got to capitalise on this.
Yeah.
But no, I did watch Tom McCarthy's Spotlight on Netflix. It follows the Boston Globe newspaper's Spotlight team, which is sort of an investigative journalistic unit, as they investigate the case of widespread and systemic child sex abuse in the Boston area by numerous Roman Catholic priests. This is pretty amazing. Obviously, heavy subject matter. It was really kind of interesting to see how they went about trying to break the story, and then all the different characters. And I can't imagine in this day and age an investigative team would be given that much time to work on a project. There's like 4 people going for like months and months and months and months, especially in a day and age where newspapers are dying out. But it's a nice thought. Pretty amazing cast as well. Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, John Slattery, Stanley Tucci, Liev Schreiber, Billy Crudup. Definitely worth checking out. Obviously, it won the Academy Award that year, 2015. So
it's the only year I think that the movie I picked as my favorite movie of the year won the Academy Award for Best Picture as well.
Yeah.
The only time they've actually crossed over. But yeah, I had Spotlight as my number one movie. 2016, 15, whenever the fuck it came out. I had it down as my favorite movie.
Over Mad Max Fury Road.
Hold on, let me double check something.
What about Green Book?
No. See, you see, fuck you. No, I would have had it as 2016 because it released in January in Australia.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, so I would have had it in my top for that year because of course they're the rules.
On the technicality.
Yeah, but I love the movie, and I remember watching it in the cinema, and while I was watching it, or at the news at the same time, was George Pell running off to hide away in his hole. So the news cycle was hot, I guess, at the time
it was a
in
kind of
Australia
perfect
to
timing.
be watching it. To be watching that movie, and I just remember getting so angry by the end of it, watching it. I guess, like the combination of what's happened in the movie with what was happening in Australia at the time. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie. I feel like not enough people watched it, even though it won Best Picture. I never heard anyone fucking talk about it.
Yeah, pretty incredible, and just I definitely felt angry during it, just as that number escalated throughout the film. And then when they do the credits at the end, they have they list all the cities that have had investigations since that story broke.
Yep.
It's like 3 full screens.
Yep, and you see Australia, whatever,
multiple
like, pop
times
up there and stuff while it was,
it's pretty
insane.
difficult. Nick, you watched Be Kind and Rewind, the Michael Gondry film starring Jack Black and
Mos Def.
Be kind, rewind. I do this all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was certainly a very interesting movie.
You hadn't seen it before?
No, I hadn't. And
did you know what Sweeting was prior to this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. There's certainly moments within it I enjoyed, but I can't say that I finished watching it going, that's a movie I love. I mean, I don't know. It was certainly very weirdly acted as well and written, and it just seemed all over the shop for me. I don't know if I'd recommend it, to be honest.
It's a Michel Gondry film.
Yeah.
Eternals.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
He's a bit.
Spotless
He's an
Mind, whatever it's
auteur.
called.
Yeah. He's got his own style.
Was it produced as an indie film? Because it certainly had that.
Yeah,
feeling
definitely.
about it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole setup, and then it just seemed to go away as well. Like you got spoilers for it. Like he got electrocuted and wiped all the tapes, and he had all these powers, and then it just went away and never mentioned again. It was just so weird. But
that's realistic.
I think the part I enjoyed the most was them recreating the movies itself. Before it got to that point, I really wasn't enjoying it, but from that point on, I kind of got into it then. But then, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, like I said.
I haven't watched it for 10 years. Or
me neither.
Whenever it released, so I can't really comment too much on it since I don't remember a lot of it. But in my mind, it's this movie that's okay. I never loved it, but it was it always stood out because of how weird and several moments in the movie and key things.
I think I feel the same way.
It's like, even though I didn't love it, it just couldn't get out of my head, I guess. Certain things.
And I've been using the phrase "be kind, rewind" like for years, and just never really clicked to me where it had come from.
They had it in one
most
of those
video stores had Be Kind Rewind on their tapes and that sort of thing. I don't think it was.
They also had it in one of those adverts that used to play at the start of DVDs or videos or something like that.
Definitely not DVDs.
DVD.
No, but
rewind your DVDs.
No, it wasn't still that. It was like it was cut in with a bunch of other movies that used to play at the start, like a trailer type thing. I don't know if it was for copyright or something like that, but they used footage from this movie and that moment in it. I don't know what it's from, but it was like, it could have been a copyright trailer thing. It could have been a trailer for whoever distributed this, like that would play at the start, be it Paramount, Universe, whoever. It was one of those things at the start of a VHS or DVD though, that would play. So I would see a certain scene constantly from it through those means.
Cool. So I watched Empire Records, which is a 1995 American coming-of-age comedy drama that follows a group of record store employees over the course of one exceptional day. The big stars in this, well-known names now, are probably Robin Tunney, Anthony LaPaglia, Renee Zellweger, and Liv Tyler. None of the other people have really gone into massive fame, but yeah, it was a fun movie. Apparently, it bombed when it first came out and got a bunch of negative reviews, but it sort of got to become like a cult hit sort of thing. It's a okay comedy. I think there's a lot of charm. A lot of the characters are very charming and likable. It's just a weird, odd film. The soundtrack is pretty incredible. If you want to listen to music from that sort of era, it's definitely one worth checking out. Or just check out the soundtrack on Spotify. I'm pretty sure it'll be on there somewhere. But yeah, after watching that, I decided I needed to watch another musical sort of film. So I went and watched Almost Famous again. The film from 2000 starring Billy Crudup, Frances McDormand, Kate Hudson, and Patrick Fugit, directed by Cameron Crowe, about a teenager who starts writing for Rolling Stone and joins a fictitious band called Stillwater on the road. I think it still holds up. I still really enjoyed it. It is a little bit weird, just age-wise with some of the people. It might be a little bit more comfortable now, but I thought it still holds up pretty well.
I don't think I've seen it.
Really?
I haven't seen either.
No.
It's one of those movies that I see the cover I saw constantly when I used to buy DVDs all the time, but just never really picked it up.
Shocking. Yeah, I'm kind of stunned.
Calm down, mister. I haven't seen fucking 70% of movies out there that are considered classics.
You notice we haven't played that game anymore since Silver has not seen any movies?
Well, you just wait. Yeah. This movie revitalized Elton John's Tiny Dancer. I'm sure you've seen that scene, right? Nope.
Maybe, but I wouldn't know that it's...
I wouldn't never have thought that Tiny Dancer ever needed revitalizing.
I thought Elton John was quite a medium-sized man and that he was less than tiny or better than tiny.
Man, I'm looking forward to Rocket Man. Dylan, you watched... It's kind of a funny story. The Anna Bolden, Ryan Fleck directed film?
I think that's right. Yes.
Team behind Captain Marvel.
That is why I watched it. You're correct.
Yeah.
It's Anna Bolden and Ryan Fleck. That's the writers and directors, the people that did Captain Marvel. I was like, I'm going to go watch their other movie that they did. And I'll tell you what, I see nothing in here that says anything about why they would get hired to do Captain Marvel, but that's fine. I really didn't expect to, but I was like, I haven't watched any of their movies, so let me go see what they did before Captain Marvel. It's a movie about a kid. I think he's like 16-ish or something like that. He's played by Keir Gilchrist. Gilchrist. He is like depressed and he has a dream or what. Like one night he's thinking about he's going to go jump off this bridge and stuff, and then he goes to the hospital and he's like, "Oh, thinking about killing myself. Can you just like do something about it?" And he talks to the doctor, and the doctor's like, like. Blah 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 blah, and he's like, "No, like I'm pretty suicidal. You need to do something about it." So then he signs into a suicide clinic or whatever you call them,
psychiatric ward.
Yeah, like on his own
mental health facility.
Mental health facility. Yeah. So he signs into one of those, and for the first day, he's like, "Okay, I'm good to go," because he goes in there and there's a few weird characters that stick out. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go home." But then it's like he already signed himself in. They're like, "Yeah, we can't release you. You already it's been signed off that you're too unfit to leave." So the main character that he interacts with the most is played by Zach Galifianakis, who's in there, which is, of course, a much older character, but he begins talking to him. Then he starts interacting a lot with, what's her face? Emma
Roberts.
Emma Roberts. I was about to say, she's literally not listed on the cast here. That's so weird on the front page. But Emma Roberts is the girl he starts interacting with in there, and then you see some other stuff with his friends back home, and one of the only standout from that was the girls played by Zoe Kravitz, who's his like girl that he has a crush on, that he goes to school with and stuff. It's an okay movie. I think it's very like it definitely isn't a movie that's trying to go hardcore into like depression and tackle the subject matter it's talking about head on. It's very much a light take on it, and it's a comedy. Yep. It's a comedy drama, so it's not trying to be super hardcore on the subject matter, so you're not going to walk out of it crying or anything too bad like that. But there's certain stuff that tackles some interesting themes, I suppose, at times, but I think because it never really goes anywhere with any of them, and it just sits on surface level a lot, because it's like, we're a comedy drama, we can't go too serious on these things. By the end of it, I was just like, I don't really feel like this movie said anything in particular. It was just like starting the conversation, then walking away, starting another conversation, walking away, starting another conversation, walking away. And none of the performances were super interesting. It's just, it was okay. I wouldn't suggest watching it though.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
an alright
super
movie. I kind of feel like he comes in and solves a bunch of problems. All of a sudden.
Who? Him at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end kind of wraps up very fast. Like,
Super quick.
and everyone's happy now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, even though they're like, oh, he's like, you know, they don't try and say, and all of a sudden, you know, all his problems are over. But it does seem like all of a sudden his problems are over, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bit wraps up a bit too nicely, I suppose, is what I'd say.
Yeah. So I also watched Goosebumps. It's fine.
I like that movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is that the Jack Black movie?
It's the Jack Black movie where he plays R.L. Stein. There is a twist that I didn't see coming. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But other than that, I mean, it's a fun kids movie, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's a kids movie, so
yeah, definitely aimed at that.
Did you ever watch any of the Goosebumps movies as a kid?
I remember watching the TV show.
Well, I wouldn't say they're movies, but yeah.
I remember watching the
They're
TV
like
show and the episodic stuff, but yeah.
Is it anything like them?
Nope.
At all?
It's a completely original story
Okay.
that kind of brings all the monsters and whatever to life. It's, yeah.
Right.
It was an interesting take on the idea of the Goosebumps, I guess. It's the best thing I could say, but yeah.
I think it's a good way to do a movie.
Does it keep in line with the Goosebumps canon?
No.
Technically,
Because it's, well,
it creates
I
a new canon.
suppose, yeah, it's like, because the thing with this movie is it's not based on any of the books. It's like, of course, it's set in our world where R.L. Stein is Jack Black, and you know what I mean? Like, it's
kind of like the Goosebumps version of that Mary Poppins movie.
The one with Emily Blunt?
Yeah.
No,
About the
with
creator.
the writer of Mary Poppins. Is that the
Yeah.
one? No, it's nothing like that.
I'm probably
That's
gonna.
my analogy, and I'm sticking with it.
If I see,
Not
I'm
having
waiting for the
seen it.
second one to pop up on a streaming service. I'll probably watch Goosebumps too.
It's
Because
on
I
Netflix.
enjoyed the first one.
Goosebumps too, yeah.
Yeah, it was a perfectly fine like kids movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it for what it was, I guess.
Yeah. I also watched Tag, which is the second dumbest movie I've watched this fortnight.
I nearly watched it yesterday, so is that a no?
It's fine. I mean, it's
I enjoyed
very
it.
mediocre. I watched it while doing something else.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was
it
gonna
worked
do.
fine for
So,
that.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
I
it
still
wasn't overly funny, and then it kind of ended. Yeah.
I feel like that's a description for 90% of comedies.
I
in
would.
Hollywood.
I feel like I would much rather watch the documentary that featured they showed footage of at the end than I would if they made one than watch this adaptation of their story, because it was a real thing that happened where these bunch of friends played tag for years and years and years. So,
Did they do a real documentary, or did they just have real
no,
footage?
that's what
of
I
it or
wish they'd
something?
done instead of this. That'd be far more interesting. And then,
Oh, it was a good movie.
sorry, Nick.
It was a good movie. It was an enjoyable watch. You just had no taste.
No, it was just mediocre. And then I also watched Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man back to back, the other way around
Why?
to what I said it. Just cause, I just felt the urge, and Ant-Man showed up.
Paul
I'm like,
Rudd, or
yeah, Paul Rudd. Yeah, yeah, they're still good. I enjoy them. I think I have now gotten over the fact that Edgar Wright didn't direct the first Ant-Man, and I'm fine with that movie the way it is. Obviously, I feel like the first one has more of the small, cool bits. Maybe that's just because of the world it was sort of set in and kind of building him up with all the ants and stuff. Utilize the ants better in the first film, I think. And then obviously, Evangeline Lilly had more of an opportunity to shine in the second film,
second film's
much
better?
to Dylan's delight.
Yep.
So yeah, that's everything. So we can now move into a monster mandatory Netflix segment. So Nick, you watched Bodyguard, the BBC series starring John Madden Richard Madden, not John Madden, Richard Madden from Game of Thrones.
Joel Madden from
the Shoe Line?
What's that band? No, what's that band?
No,
Good Charlotte.
no, that's Joel Madden. I said John
Yes,
Madden,
yes.
as in from Madden football.
The football, yeah. It's an amalgamation of all the matters.
Yeah. Okay. How was it?
It was really, really good up until the ending, and then the ending absolutely ruined it, and retroactively ruined the whole show leading up to it. It was just the dumbest explanation. It made absolutely no fucking sense, and made everything that happened before it make no sense whatsoever. Like, I watched it because there was only 6 episodes, and when the finale aired, I saw that it had made ratings records in the UK and all that kind of stuff, so I thought it must be good. Like, it was a high score on Trakt TV, and it's like, I was really into it. I really wanted to watch it all the way through. Like, I'd watch it night after night after night, but yeah, that ending just, oh boy, yeah, that was bad.
It's just completely out of left field, or was it just didn't make... What was wrong with it?
It was just, I can't really go into it without spoiling it, like, big time. It's just, it was shitty writing. That's the best way I can explain it.
Cool. But other than that, it was good, action-wise.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Is it an action film, or is it more of a...
It's kind of like, yeah, I guess so. Action.
Is it British 24?
I never watched 24, so I don't know. The biggest thing I could think of, obviously it's not exactly the same, but I kept on drawing comparisons to Homeland, like the same kind of theming, in a way. But yeah, like, and I don't know, there's something about British shows that feel more real and gritty compared to US ones that I can get into more as well. I don't know, I can't explain why I feel that way, it's just, I do. But yeah. I mean, give it a go. Like, you might not hate the ending as much as I do, but it was a really, really good show up until that point.
Well, if it's so many other people like it, I guess. Or maybe they just rated all the first 5 episodes and then...
Possibly,
and then everybody watched that 6 episodes.
I mean, it's only 6 episodes. I mean, it's not that big of an investment, so...
Yep. Dylan, you watched The Dirt, the Motley Crue docu-drama biopic thing.
Docu-movie.
It's a biography, kind of, I guess,
Yeah.
is what you'd call it, even though it's not really. It's like, well, look, this is the information you need to know to watch The Dirt. It is directed by Jeff Tremaine, who is the director of the Jackass films and stuff. That is who's behind this thing. It is also very much a movie that's less about truthfully telling you the story of Motley Crue and more about giving you the tone and feel of what the band is like, I guess. And honestly, I finished this movie and I could not help but compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody, because both of these movies, as far as I'm concerned, this and Bohemian, don't dive into the true, like, full on into these characters and things properly. And really, it's just a kind of best of Motley Crue things. You remember all these, like, key moments and songs and things you've heard about? Remember that one time they did an interview where Nikki Sixx slammed Tommy Lee's head against the table? Yeah, that's in this. Remember that one time they did an interview and and Ozzy Osbourne talked about snorting fucking ants? Yeah, that's in this. Like, it's just a combination of all things. But it's like, if you like Motley Crue, which I do, then it's got their music in it. It's got stuff you've heard about happening. And by the end of it, I was just like, this is not a good movie, but I enjoyed it. So that's kind of how it's done. It's a very loud movie. It's just the epitome of sex, drugs, rock and roll. That's all it is. It's lots of people going, dude, let's fucking rock out. Yeah. They get drunk, they do drugs, they have sex with a bunch of girls, repeat over and over and over. Eventually you get the dip where, of course, shit goes bad for them. Which, of course, if you know anything about Motley Crue, shit goes bad for a lot of them. And then that happens. But then by the end of the movie, it's just like, and we're going to go from like 1988 to 2000 in like a 10-second scene or like roughly. And then we're just going to be like, yeah, and then they played for the next 20 years. Well, they didn't just play for the next 20 years. They were up, down, still continuously until they did their final tour only a couple of years ago. But they're just like, yeah, it was happy. Everyone's fine. Let's just continue on. So, but... yeah, I do feel like if you're a Motley Crue fan, you'll just enjoy it. Amongst all of its problems, you'll enjoy it.
which is kind of I really want to see it after watching the trailer, but after seeing that trailer, I never really got the impression it was going to be anything more than what you've just said it was. Which is, I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody had the thing where they were going to make a tell-all kind of movie with Sacha Baron Cohen, and they poo-pooed it because they didn't want, like, the bad, dirty laundry getting out. But Motley Crue have never really been to shy away from that kind of stuff, so it's kind of a missed opportunity not to tell the story.
I feel like, well, it's based on the book, right? The Dirt, which is their famous book that they all wrote. And throughout the years, constantly, it's always been a thing with that book of the up, down, oh, we kind of made that part up. Or we kind of like exaggerated that part a bit, and maybe that didn't happen. You know, like even for their own autobiography, they were still just like, whatever's entertaining. That's their life kind of thing. Like whatever's entertaining, whatever works kind of thing. So I feel like if it's like this movie's based on the book that is known to be a little bit of facts, a little bit of bullshit for fun. Let's all mix it all together and see where we go. And it's by the director of Jackass. So it's not, when you put all that out on the table and you go, what kind of movie is this going to be? Is it a movie that's just supposed to be a celebration of Motley Crue compared to something a deep dive into them? No. You kind of look at it, look at the facts, and you know what you're going in for. And that's all it is. It's just a celebration of Motley Crue, their music, and a certain time period in the music industry in America and stuff, I suppose. I don't know. Like some people may get sick of, some people may not have a love for that type of music, that time period and stuff, I guess, and may not get anything out of it. But I'm like, and it's got some really great performances, as much as I hate to say this, but Machine Gun Kelly plays fucking Tommy Lee in it, right? The rapper. He is really good somehow. I don't understand. I really do not understand how he's as good as he is as Tommy Lee in this. Douglas Booth, who plays Nicky Six, was also quite good. Daniel Webber, who plays Vince Neil, is quite good. And then Iwan Rowan, who's probably the most known actor in it, of course, from Game of Thrones and a bunch of Misfits and stuff like that. He plays Mick Mars. And I think the biggest thing I got coming out of this, as someone who's read several Motley Crue books and stuff throughout the years, is by the end of it, I kind of had a better idea about the type of person Mick Mars is compared to having read more about him. Because they do show him in the light of, well, he's always been the quiet one. He would sit in interviews in the back, he wouldn't say fucking anything and whatever else. And they kind of cover that in the movie to a degree, but they also explain like his medical history a bit, like how he's this older dude. He's
using
this
spondylitis.
Yeah. And they make fun of his age and these sorts of things, but he's also quite good. Yeah, so it's weird. I think I gave it like a 6 on Trakt, like looking at it as a film, but then enjoyment factor, I'd probably give it like an 8 as a fan of Motley Crue, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine if you don't set your expectations too high going into it.
Just put it on, listen to music, have fun. It's from the second that movie starts, you'll understand what you're in for within the first 5 minutes. The movie fucking opens in a scene. Well, I'm just going to explain it. This is as bad as it starts. The camera's going in. It's like, yeah, man, fucking rock and roll. Used to have people come down to our house, people breaking into our car, cops breaking down our door all the time, blah, blah, blah. And it comes in and it's like voiceover happening. And it's like, that dude right there is Tommy Lee. And he's like, and then you hear him say, this one we're going to do, man. It's all like one camera tracking shot and there's a big party happening. He's like, this one we're going to do. So he like jumps down, he starts fucking going down on this girl in the middle of this party. And then the camera like moves in down, it goes into another room and fucking Vince is in there fucking some girl. And he's like, and this is Vince, he's the lead singer. He's pretty cool right now. Look at him fucking. But he's not looking at how hot that girl is. He's looking at how good he looks on that poster on the wall. And it shows the poster, goes to another room. This is Mick. And then the girl comes in. She's like, are you with the band? He's like, what band? Mick's an alien. And then the like camera comes out of the room, comes back to I think it's like shows Nikki doing something, I can't remember. And then the camera all pans out and then you hear Tommy go, look, it's about to happen, and this fucking girl just squirts all over the room everywhere, and then it comes up the dirt. Yep, that's the opening of the movie. And it's like you kind of know what you're in for from then. Yeah.
Cool. The question everybody wants to know: The Dirt or Bohemian Rhapsody?
I would watch The Dirt again. It was more entertaining.
Cool. Interesting. So you and I both watched Triple Frontier, the action movie that's action drama. I don't know.
Is it an action thriller?
Thrill, I guess.
I guess it's a thriller towards the end.
I guess starring Oscar Isaacs, Ben Affleck, Pedro Pascal, Charlie Hunnam, and the guy from Tron Legacy.
That's the
Garrett
one.
Hedlund?
It's like,
Gareth Hedlund.
Just hearing like the caliber of the cast or the ensemble of the cast and the type of movie it is kind of like a more serious. My picture is a more serious take on the Expendables. Just like
Not really.
the ensemble cast and action, like just those melding.
I'd say it's
those two
not
ideas.
because although it's got this huge cast, unlike the Expendables, it doesn't make every time one of them shows up on screen a big like moment, you know? Like they just come in naturally. It's not like, and here's Ben Affleck, yeah, look at him, he's fucking cool, man. You know, it's an ensemble cast for sure. Interesting cast. Continue. What do you think then?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was terribly interesting. I feel like the second half kind of let it down. Like I was on board until till the helicopter crashes, and then it sort of went the way. It didn't do anything interesting or unpredictable, or it just kind of went the way you expected it to go. But I enjoyed the build up. I enjoyed them scouting out the place that they're going to try to hit. They're going to try and rob a South American warlord,
Fictional
I guess.
drug lord.
Drug lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the setup is Oscar Isaac. Like they're all in the army, they all were. Oscar Isaac's the only one who's currently still in some service of capacity. Also, the movie's very pro army. Is another thing, like heavily pro army, which was kind of I find annoying somewhat in films when they open with big monologues about. Yeah, fucking. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. Settle down.
Sure, you can make a ton of money as a contract security person, but you should fight for your country.
Yeah,
It'll make you
it's very
feel
much
better.
like. Yeah, it's very heavy on that sort of stuff, which was a whole different thing. But moving past that, you get Oscar Isaacs, who's still in it. He's like sick of not making enough money and like always losing bad guys or something. I don't know, he's just fed up with.
Sounds like Three Kings.
Hey.
Sounds like Three Kings.
I haven't watched that, so I can't really compare. Then Oscar Isaac's like, I've found the location of this big drug lord. I'm not going to give up his position to the authorities. What I'm going to do is going to get my buddies and I'm going to convince them to rob this place by ourselves, which is what they eventually end up doing it for. So he gets Ben Affleck, who was the captain of their unit, I believe is kind of how it was. Like he was the captain of their unit. So Ben Affleck needs to come in. He needs to lead them. Oscar Isaac's there. Charlie Hunnam comes in. Hunnam's actually pretty good in this movie, I thought.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Garrett Hedlund and Pedro Pascal. They're all enjoyable actors to watch interact and be big old tough men on screen with. So if that's an aspect that it's got going for it, I suppose. Action-wise, it was fine. I don't think there was any particular standout set piece or anything like that. It has like some beautiful shots in it, I guess. Several locales and stuff.
The shot of them driving down that highway that's up from the jungle, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's got some cool shots and stuff, but I didn't think any of the actual action set pieces were anything super interesting. Towards the end of the film, it did do one thing I didn't actually think it would do that I found interesting, and that was a cool scene to see play out, I guess. And by the end of it, I'm like, I think I kind of know what this movie's like message, I guess, is trying to be like very heavy-handed about and stuff. But yeah, it wasn't like, okay, that's all of a sudden the best action thriller of the year. I feel like it had a really good cast, and like the caliber of the movie didn't live up to the caliber of the cast, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. It's not surprising that it's on Netflix, even though Netflix did give it a limited run apparently over in America. But
well, apparently I looked into it and it was one of those scripts that was circulating for ages of people being like, this script has to get, one of those scripts that they're like, this is one.
Needs
this
to
needs to get made. Yeah.
And it did.
Yep.
So we got Queer Eye Season 3. I believe we're still planning on to a review discussion on Season 3. But Dylan, do you want to give your overall thoughts?
It's more Queer Eye. It's... I find them hard to compare seasons, so it's like whatever. There's one episode I didn't like, the rest I was fine with. So probably I'd still say my favorite season is probably the first one because I don't recall disliking a thing in the first one. And then the second season had an episode with a person I didn't like. This one has an episode where I'm like, I don't really feel for this. Get out of here. I Don't know how I feel about you. But overall,
Interesting.
you know, it's more Queer Eye. If you like Queer Eye, then
Yeah.
you will enjoy the show. Hopefully we get a season 4 later. They repeat like last year as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely more Clear Eye. It's still enjoyable. I didn't dislike anybody, so I'm keen to listen to our review discussion so I can find out which person Dylan didn't like. But I think the problem is there's no standout episodes this season. There's no like episodes you went, oh, that's incredible.
I feel like they can't. Yeah, that's.
I
I'm
think
fine with
different
that.
things were going to trigger different people to make them cry, where
Yes.
last season there was like at least 2 episodes that made everybody bawl their eyes out.
Yeah, because there's like I know there was one person in this who, had just lost his wife to like cancer and stuff, and he's now like a single dad and stuff. It's like that's probably going to hit home for a lot of people that have gone through similar things, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Compared to me, which I'm like, it's sad, obviously, but it's not hitting the like ultimate 10 out of 10 feels breaking down kind of in tears constantly throughout the episode level.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But still the best feel-good television you can watch on television or streaming services. Yep. Dylan, you also watched 2 documentaries. Let's start with Dirty John, The Dirty Truth. The real story of the character that's in the Eric Bana.
Yeah, so that Eric Bana TV show just came out on Netflix. And I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this show, but I'm intrigued by the thing, the setup. And then I saw it was a documentary. I'm like, okay, fuck the show, I'll watch the documentary. And then I find out that the show and the documentary were both based on a podcast series. I'm like, why the fuck didn't I just listen to that instead? I was like, we're living in a world where there was a TV show and I assumed it was based on a documentary, but then found out, no, they were both based on a podcast.
The future, man.
Yeah,
everything's been based on podcasts.
Yeah.
Dirty John, Homecoming. Sure, there's more coming in down the road.
Old Kevin Smith movies these
Hit
days.
us up.
But yeah, it's like some dude who I don't really know how to describe him. He's not like a serial killer. He's like a serial manipulator, I guess is the way to use it. He would like... he was basically just a lifelong liar and stuff, and he did some fucked up shit, and he was also a very big drug addict, and he would do certain things to get drugs constantly and in and out, and by the end of it, it's a fucked up story, and it kind of makes me want to watch a TV series to see how they pull off certain things, because a lot of it, unless you watch the documentary, I swear if you was watching a TV show, you'd be like, this is made up, this wouldn't have happened surely, but it did, so... I might watch it still. I don't really know. The documentary itself wasn't very good though. It was a very much a made for TV one. I don't know where it was aired exactly, but you could tell it was made for TV because sometimes the scene would fade out like it's going to an ad break, and then when it came back just a second later and it faded in, it would play like the last 10 seconds that you've already just watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They didn't edit that out.
They didn't edit it out for the Netflix version or whatever. So they've literally just copied. They've done a copy pasta from the.
That's not a thing.
They've done a copy pasta.
It is 100% a thing.
They've done a copy pasta from the TV network, wherever it was at. But yeah, the quality wise was very much like some random ass TV home network doco.
Cool. And then you also watched the Miami Show Band Massacre, the remastered version.
And that was interesting. About some group I never heard of them before. That they reckon are the Irish Beatles is what they were referred to or something. And they were quite popular apparently, but this is all what it revolves around is at like peak time where like Northern Ireland and the main Irish people or whatever. I don't really know much about the history, but they're like having like a civil kind of war again, I guess, amongst themselves. There's like a group of people that want to stay with. That want to join the UK, of course. It's funny watching this now of Brexit all happening, of course, at the same time, because it's all kind of relevant. The same sort of arguments, like staying part of the United Kingdom or being own separate things, because apparently the top part of Ireland is part of Britain, but then the other part isn't part of the UK or something.
Watching you butcher this geopolitics is very entertaining.
But it's relevant because basically what happened was the band is set up and they're killed amongst all of this. So they're popular in both regions and sections of the place. And of course, they're touring around and doing a show. And they're touring around, so they're leaving the north or something one night, and they get pulled over by a bunch of army soldiers, which a couple of them are still alive. And they're doing interviews with them. And they're like, yeah, so it's not that abnormal to see soldiers standing around with guns and stuff. But so we just pulled over and we thought everything was going fine. And then one of them like walks up and then opens the back of their van. And then all of a sudden a fucking bomb goes off everywhere and the shit explodes. They get thrown in all sorts of directions. And then shooting starts going off. And then only two of them of the 5 members or something survived. The rest either got killed in this explosion or the shooting. And by the end of it, it's like this big conspiracy theory where they were trying to, the bomb wasn't supposed to go off. They were trying to put the bomb in there and set it up so the bomb would go off later. And they were trying to make out like this really popular band, which is the whatever, Miami, whatever 5, was going to set off this explosion. And then everyone would think that they did it on purpose. It was some like big conspiracy political type thing that still hasn't been completely uncovered. It's interesting if you're into that sort of like your own government's out to fuck with you type thing. And it was also like some band I'd never heard of, but was apparently really popular during the same times that the Beatles were, but not worldwide, obviously. So it was interesting. It's only an hour, so it's not like you're there forever.
Cool. And then I also saw you watch the pilot of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, so I put it up because I went to put on something that I could watch in the background the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I'll try out Star Trek, see how it goes. Surely I could watch that while I'm on my laptop. And then all of a sudden, fucking Klingons show up, and then I'm having to read subtitles. I'm like, this is not the show I was looking for at all. So I enjoyed what I watched when I had to completely stop being on my laptop to pay attention to the show because it was a lot more. I don't know if it's silly for me to have expected that show to be a little less of wanting my attention than it actually needs, I guess. But when I completely got my attention, I watched it. I was intrigued. I will hopefully get back to it, but it's not on the I can watch this while doing other stuff list. It's on the I have to watch this and pay attention list.
Yeah. I hope you do get back to it because I am now up to date on Star Trek Discovery. Yes,
I saw on your thing that you was up to date. I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, it's really good. It's interesting comparing this to the Orville, which is the other TV show running at the moment, which is similar. This is definitely more serialized. I feel like there's a lot of 2 to 3 episode arcs throughout the first season. Obviously, Michelle Yeoh plays in the pilot, the captain of the ship, but it focuses more on Michael Burnham, who is Spock's foster sister.
Got him.
Who's been a human raised on Vulcan. I think it's really interesting. I think they do some interesting things with the... I assume they do interesting things with the canon. They sort of explore the Klingon US, the Starfleet war, I guess. Which I don't know. If I was a bigger Star Trek fan, I feel like that would be a huge, incredibly important thing. But you can definitely tell there was a change during the 2 seasons. The second season is a lot more. Feels like there's more episodic episodes, but then they've got that serialized through line throughout them. There's a clear plot, story point that's running through the whole season. It's something that they're all going through, and that's because Brian Fuller originally created the show with Alex Kurtzman, and then there was another. He left the show, I think, before they even started production or something to work on American Gods. You can watch Viewing Gods. How'd
that work out for you, fucking sucker?
Yeah. So then they got a couple other showrunners. I think they did the rest of season 1. They did the first episode of season 2, and they got fired because they went over budget. And then I believe Kurtzman's been running it since as showrunner. But yeah, interesting. I don't feel like any of the behind the scenes issues have detracted from it, but
wish you could say the same for other shows.
Yeah.
Has it made you want to check out more Star Trek?
Not really
at all.
I think it's
you don't want any kind of context for the stuff.
I've watched the 3 Star Trek movies, so
that's not canon to this.
That is canon. I mean, it's in a different timeline.
Alternate universe canon.
Oh my God.
It's all one big canon. Oh, this is a prequel series, right? the thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a big spoiler to say, but I did see on Twitter the other day that Spock's in the current season 2.
Spock's
so.
in season 2. It's not shocking that Michael
Shock
Burnham's
horror.
foster brother shows up in season 2.
Yeah,
And they've got beef.
I'm shook right now.
They've got
Yeah.
beef, and it's fun. It is the actor playing Spock is pretty solid. I mean, especially that's kind of such a big role now that's been played by I guess 3 people. So
I think one thing about it that stood out was, and would probably continue, is because it is a prequel thing, you're not going to have any big problems with kind of like they could reference and there could be cool things happening to do with the overall Star Trek lore, but you don't need to know, and it doesn't worry.
yeah, it doesn't. No.
It's like you're just experiencing it. It's fine.
Yeah, and also Jason Isaacs in this, he's really good in the role that he plays for a few episodes for an extended period. I don't want to say too much because but he's really good. Yeah, so that's everything we've watched. Let's move into the news. The big news of the last 24 hours, TV space, is that Apple have finally announced their streaming service. It's called, very creatively, Apple TV Plus. Dun, dun, dun. It seems to be sort of tied into their new Apple TV app on the iPhone that's coming in May, I believe. That'll pretty much just put everything, video, TV, movies, all in one app. I don't know why. I guess it'll make it easier. I don't know the logic behind it.
So does that mean like you can access Netflix and stuff from this one app?
Yes, that's what was my takeaway from it. So you can
So it's kind of like
Netflix,
an app
Amazon,
folder.
and then it'll list all the shows or whatever, and sort of you can find it that way. I guess that's cool. Other than announcing the name and pretty much strolling out a bunch of people for all tiny segments, there wasn't a lot to this thing. It was part of a bigger showcase where they showed off Apple's arcade streaming service thing.
That's
Which
just a service. It's not a streaming thing, but
it's a service. Then they had the news magazine,
Apple News Plus.
Apple News Plus. I don't really care. I don't know Apple subscription service. And then apparently you can get a credit card through Apple as well. So that was their other big news. But yeah, Spielberg came out, which is kind of a big deal, I guess, in the space given his recent rumors about his distaste for Netflix and streaming services.
Yeah, I hope none of his shit on there gets fucking nominated for the Academy.
Well, he is working on a TV show, an anthology TV show rebooting Amazing Stories. Talking about his history with the magazine and how excited he is to bring it back to television. I think Amazing Stories was like a light family version of Twilight Zone, so it'd be interesting.
But we've got
I guess.
Twilight Zone coming back. Fuck off, Spielberg. We've got Jordan Peele now. We don't need you.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he didn't know when he started this project. Anyway, then apparently Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and Steve Carell came out to promote their show, The Morning Show, which is some like a morning show version of
The Newsroom.
30 Rock or something like that, or Newsroom, yeah. Then Jason Momoa and Alfre Woodward came out to promote their sci-fi series called C, which is about a futuristic world in which everybody has lost a sense of sight. Yeah. Directed by Stephen Knight, who did Locke and the recent release Serenity, which is apparently bonkers. Then Kumail Nanjiani came out, talked about his project called Little America, which is like going to be a bunch of immigrant stories, which sounds promising. Being done by the guys behind, or some of the people behind, what's the Enzari show? Masters of None. Master of None? Yeah, that one.
One of those.
Big Bird came out apparently because they're doing some Muppet show called Helpsters. That will be about, apparently it's about teaching kids how to code. So that's interesting. And then Sarah Bareilles came out with J.J. Abrams, and she sang a song, the theme song of her show, which is about a young woman who has to find her voice as an artist and a person through music. And then Oprah came out, because Oprah's, I think, she's probably their big get. She's going to be doing a couple of documentaries. Then she's going to be running a book club through the streaming service. And yeah, that was kind of that was all. They showed a sizzle reel of some of the projects they got, and then they had like a 5-minute video of all the filmmakers and stuff sort of talking about filmmaking. Dylan, as a connoisseur of stuff, what'd you think? Is this something, as Apple fanboy, the only Apple fanboy here, what'd you think?
I mean, it didn't like rock my world, but because it didn't really. If I'd never seen anything about it and it just rocked up one day and it was like, here's Apple TV Plus, would you like to trial a subscription and check out some of these shows? I'd be like, okay, like it's gonna happen either way. I've got a fucking iPhone. I've got an Apple TV. You know, there's no way I'm not going to check out some of these things. But from what we saw, that 1 minute, 2 minute video that kind of shows footage from all of the stuff, none of it particularly stood out because you don't really get to see much of anything. It's just a montage of a bunch of shows. You don't really get enough to gather anything particularly much about any of the shows. And then that 5-minute, very long video with JJ and Spielberg and everyone else fucking yapping on. I was like, oh, just make it end. Just make it end.
It feels like that would have been better put at the start of the Oscars than it would have been here. You know,
yes,
at least there, you're patting yourself on the back about filmmaking.
Yes. I think the biggest problem with that video is the yapping on like about cinema and blah, 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 blah. But because you know it's a product play, like it's trying to sell you something, it just all comes across, ew. No, thank you. And
you know what else it reminded me of? The Project Scorpio video they had a while ago. You know, the one with like at the end of the Xbox conference
where that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They had all the game devs talking about all the potential of the device and stuff. Yeah. It reminded me of that as well. Nick, what do you think?
I got a question. Can I access it without an Apple device?
They gave absolutely no information.
I highly
doubt
that.
They said it's a thing. And that was it.
Yeah.
I don't see you being able to access it without an Apple device.
No.
Pirate Bay, here I come. But yeah, it was a thing. That video was shit. I kept on fucking skipping through it just to see if anything would be said that was worth listening to. There was a few shows there I'd check out if I could access it, but I can't, so it's kind of a moot point. But
what in particular stood out?
There was one there with planes and stuff. In that little sizzle reel, there's one with a... Yeah, there was one there with a...
There was one with the planes!
No, but with like... It was obviously a World War II kind of...
Yeah, they come crashing down.
Because they'd P-40s, yeah. But yeah, like... Yeah, it was a thing. Like, I don't need another streaming service in my life.
No. Yeah, I think it's hard to compare these to the other ones, though, I would say. Because of... the only reason I kind of stick this one in its own category is because it's attached to a device, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every other streaming service that we've had so far is accessible on your phone at the bare minimum. You know?
Yeah.
Like you have access to it. You can access it through the website and stuff. Well, hold on. No, everyone will have access, I presume. You'll have to install Apple what's the fuck on your computer.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get an Apple account, so I'm never going to.
Yeah, so you're never going to watch it either. But I just solved the question in my head. Yeah, everyone will be able to watch this stuff. You just have to
potentially
install iTunes.
You'll have to have an iTunes account or something.
Yeah,
iTunes
and then download the app, and then you'll be able to watch all this stuff through the app. Like if you just install.
Well, they
iTunes
are putting it on a bunch of TVs as well. Apparently, they're putting it in a bunch of Samsung.
Yeah, smart TVs and stuff.
Smart TVs, yeah. Some of the other series that sort of stood out to me on this list, the series called Are You Sleeping?, where Octavia Spencer stars as a true crime podcaster who reopens a cold murder case in a crime drama, executive produced by Reese Witherspoon. There's an animated musical comedy from Lauren Boucard, creator of Bob's Burgers, as well as Josh Gad and Nora Smith. TV series called Dickinson, a coming-of-age series about the poet Emily Dickinson, starring Haley Steinfeld, which is sort of the period piece you saw throughout the sizzle reel. They're sort of acting modern-day-ish, I guess. For All Mankind, a space race science fiction series from Ronald D. Moore, who created the acclaimed reboot of Battlestar Galactica. There's also adaptations of books like Foundation, Pachinko, and Shantaram. There's the Time Bandits reboot being written and directed by Taika Waititi. So there's a bunch of different things that are as if you look on them at paper, like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But until we actually they show us something that makes us think, yeah, that's cool, I'm not going to get excited, I don't think. And it's definitely not something I think I need at the moment.
It'll be interesting to see if they keep the caliber of like people they're collaborating with up after the initial run is done.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, it completely depends if it's successful or not.
Oh, this is true.
How much do you think they need to charge for this kind of service?
I think I said it's going to be $10.
Well, everything else at that
Is
conference
it
was
going to be just original
$10.
stuff?
I don't know if there's going to be anything else. From what I gathered, it's just from all we know at the moment, at least, it's all they've talked about is access to original content.
If it's just original content, I feel like they'd have to put out a decent amount for it to be worth it for a lot of people, I think.
But you get
like
Oprah once a month with a book club.
I don't know.
Nick just shrugged.
I don't read books that quick.
I think if it's $10 a month and there's one series, if there's like 2 to 3 series or something dropping a month, and at least one of those interests you, at $10 a month, I think it's fine. Like, because then it's $10 for a show a month. And if you are interested, obviously $10, yeah, I want to watch that. $10, I want to watch this. And as long as you don't have to lock it in, I have no problems, because then I could sign up for $10, watch what I want, turn it off, come back 3 months later. You know, that's my golden rule for all these streaming services. And the one thing they have to continue doing that makes them different to having a cable network or something like that, your Foxtels and stuff, is they all have to just be month by month subscriptions. Don't fucking make anyone lock in something for 12, 24 months or anything. I have no problem if they're just, you can sign in and out whenever you want. I think that's the golden rule.
I think that's fine for a conscious consumer like us, but how many people are out there, like my parents would look at it as a value proposition of, say, like, I could have a Netflix for $10, or I could have this Apple thing for $10. I'm getting more value for money for this Netflix thing. I don't want this Apple thing where it's only got a handful of shows on it. Like, there are a lot more people out there like that than you and I as well.
Oh, I get it. A lot of people compare them like one ring to rule them all. Which one do I get? There can only be one. No one looks at them as like things you play constantly. This one this month, that one next month, these two this month. I'll get rid of that one the month after. Yeah, everyone does this thing of like, it's a constant thing, and we do this for everything, not just streaming apps. There has to be one good one. That's the only one we want to pay for, and the rest of them can fucking burn in a fire. But I do believe, because I see a lot of people complaining, especially Americans, with the amount of streaming services and stuff like, and that kind of is getting to a ridiculous degree. I do agree. When we constantly,
it ended up being to their cable where you got to have you're having like 6 or 7 different subscription services that adds up to $70 a month, which you were paying for cable anyway.
My thing with that is, although there could be one miraculous month where you're paying for several streaming services, I don't think you really should be ever at that case unless there's really so many amazing things on at once. If you really are efficient at cancelling things and getting rid of them when you don't need them, which I'm not to a degree. Like, I probably should cancel Stan at the moment, but I'm honestly just lazy and whatever. If I want an extra $10 a month, whatever. But then I'm like, too much effort, and they are Australian. Maybe I'll just keep supporting them because they're the Australian one, and they do make Australian original content. Whatever. That's my excuse for not cancelling Stan. But like, that's how these services are supposed to be played, and that's how I think they will thrive. And that's why I don't really have too many problems with, hey, we've got Disney coming. Hey, we've got a fucking Apple one coming. Whatever. As long as they've got the quality in shows there and at a certain kind of continuous level, then I have no problem. Like, if Apple comes out and it's like, hey, here's 4 exclusive shows now, and then next month we've got nothing, right? I'll be like, why wouldn't I unsubscribe next month? Like, I'll watch all 4 of your shows the first month it drops, and then I'll fucking unsubscribe. Why would I hang around? There's literally no reason for me to.
I reckon I can see them envisioning a future where they include it in a
package.
Apple Music kind of package
with
as
all
well.
their
That'd
other
be smart.
services.
That'd be smart.
If you
If
get,
they
if
did
you
that,
get
would that
Apple
tempt you-
News, if you get the gaming thing, if you get the Apple TV, and then you pay for it all with your Apple credit card,
Credit card. Yeah.
You get a
and you get it
discount.
cheaper. Yeah, exactly.
you get
Yeah.
3% off.
Would it tempt you to move from Spotify to do a package deal kind of like that?
No, I wouldn't move from Spotify, but if I could look at the if for instance Apple News was the thing I wanted, which I don't think it is, but let's say it is. If Apple News was the thing I wanted, if the Apple gaming thing is the thing I end up wanting, and the Apple TV thing is the thing I end up wanting, and I can still look at those and go, well, even though I'm not using one of these services, I'm still working out on top by paying the all-in-one thing, then yeah, like I'd look into it. But I'm never going to move from Spotify to Apple because Spotify is easier on my PC, it's easier on my laptop, it's easier on my phone, it's easier to, I can fucking hook it up to my PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like Spotify, the reason I use it is because it's the easiest service to hook up with so many devices. So, sorry, Apple, you're not getting me off Spotify. You can't win there. You may get me on other services, but not that one.
Yep. It's interesting, yeah. I guess, Tom, we definitely need to see some actual footage of the programs they're going to be putting out. So
I just need it to come out, and so many of these things we fucking talk about, like Disney and whatever else, and it's always like theorizing, of course.
We have the same
Conversation
every
pretty much
time.
over and over to a degree, which, I mean, they just keep announcing things, but it's like, just fucking put it out. Let me play around, see what I think about your UI. Let me watch your shows. Let's let it roll around to next month at least or something. You know, let's get first impressions, and then we'll come back a month later and go, okay, here's what they're dropping this month. What do you think about the service now? And I can be like, well, they had a really strong first month. Launch month was great. This month they've got fucking nothing coming out. The service, the UI is still sluggy, runs like shit. So I'd say this service at the moment is not worth it. You know, that's when we can kind of start reviewing these services a bit more.
cool. Moving on. Disney's 2-year struggle to pick up 21st Century Fox has finally concluded, with the deal completed to the tune of $71.3 billion. All the
lot
key
of money.
Yeah, Walt Disney.
The worst thing about this is Rupert Murdoch's getting all that money.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. And he's still keeping Fox News, so, you know. So the longest-standing deal for the Disney company sees it acquire key assets, including the 21st Century Fox and Film TV studio, Fox Entertainment cable networks, and its international assets. Long time coming. Unfortunately, apparently 4,000 people have lost their jobs. The staff cuts are hitting employees at the SVP, EVP, and president level. Senior staff is expected to be among the first impacted. However, the cuts will be deep, with the axe falling hardest on Fox's film team. There could be as many as 4,000 jobs cut in the merger.
Then they get hired by Disney.
Yeah. Disney appears to be notifying staff at the film studio department by department. Some employees are being told that they can be kept for a transition period, either 3 to 6 months, the source says. It's not clear how many will stay on with Disney permanently. Apparently, a lot of the severances are for 1 to 2 years, which isn't too bad.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. And then the other big news coming straight out of the merger is that the Fox 2000 label is being shut down.
The indie label.
Yeah, it's the indie label sort of giving mid-tier movies, films like Hidden Figures, Fault in Our Stars, Devil Wears Prada, Life is Pi, Chronicles of Narnia, more recently films like Love, Simon. So that's kind of a big hit for, I guess, the mid-range sort of level of films. But I guess the writing was kind of on the wall for that as soon as the studio was kind of put up for sale. Because Disney doesn't really need that kind of film. And even if the Fox has been bought by Comcast, apparently, they've got Universal and they've got Focus Features, which sort of does the same thing. So
It was dead either way.
It was kind of dead either way. Although they said previously that the head person there was going to be kept on, so that everybody thought that they were going to keep Fox 2000 running, but definitely is kind of sad. But then again, in the era of Netflix and streaming services, do you need that kind of level of film, or should we just expect those films to go?
We've
straight
got
to-
A24.
Yeah, I guess.
There's your
But they're
indie
not
label.
making a Love Simon.
They're mixing up what they're making a bit more these days.
I was
feel.
going to say they're more genre based, but maybe I'm thinking more.
Now they have opportunity to expand.
I guess with every closing door, there's a new
Window open.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if a bunch of smaller studios sort of pop up in the wake of this, I guess. Or
I didn't miss back in
production
the day.
companies.
Like we don't have Miramax anymore or anything. You know, like all these kind of indie things, of course.
Yeah.
As for I saw a lot of people online being like, "This is shit. This is why Disney should have brought them." Blah 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 blah. A lot of this stuff was going to happen no matter what. Like Comcast buys them, it could have been worse. So it's kind of. I'm looking at the situation and you see, all these 2,000 plus people lose their jobs, blah, 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 blah. And then you read about what the severance packages are, like how some of them being allowed to stay on for, as you said, 3 to 6 months, et cetera, et cetera. Overall, I think that's a very good, like, they're being very good about it, I think. Like, I understand they're losing jobs, but as far as it goes to losing jobs, it's probably the very good losing jobs, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad losing jobs story. We're not talking about people being chucked out of the office as soon as Disney brought it. Disney, like Mickey Mouse didn't stroll in and go, "Ha ha, fuckers, get out of here."
Yeah.
So I also saw a lot of stories of people saying if Comcast got it, rightfully pointing out this shit could have gone a lot worse. We don't really know. So everyone's playing Disney as the bad guy, and I understand there's arguments being made, and I agree to some point about Disney just owning fucking too much is bad. I 100% agree with that, but at the same time, Fox was kind of going somewhere. Anyway, it was going to happen. They were trying to if Comcast buys them, it could have gone a lot worse, right? So I'm kind of looking at the way it's going down. I'm reading the stories, severance packages, people being left on. It seems like it's a transitional period that's happening as good as it can kind of go. I'm not angry about it.
Which is surprising because you're the one who normally gets angry about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like it's going.
It's being done properly.
I feel like it's been done properly, and of course, like we talked about, like gaming studios on Arcade Couch of a show, and that was when we was talking about stories where this wasn't being handled correctly. Whereas I feel like this is where it is being handled correctly. There is a line of these things happen and they have to be handled in a proper way. And I think if this is kind of how it's going to happen, so I'm not angry about it. I think it's good as it can kind of get when it comes to big business takeovers and such thing. Once the takeovers happened, I was in like a weird feeling because it's like a evil and two devils shoulder thing, angel devil shoulder thing. Cause I'm happy that they've got the X-Men back and all these characters, right? I'm happy that Marvel gets all their characters back. I wanted that.
Except Spider-Man, technically. And any of the Spider characters.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing because they were there. They belong there. They're their characters.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I don't feel so good about them owning the rest of the shit they got as well, though. Like that's where my
Alien, Predator, all
these sorts of things. If you go onto WaltDisneyCompany.com, I think is the website. Like that's their corporate website. It has a banner on the front there, and they had it changed within the first couple of hours of the deal being over and done with. And the banner's been changed. It has like fucking Avatar in it, The Simpsons, and all these other things. Like Donald Glover from Atlanta is in there because they got FX or whatever as well. So it's like this weird ass fucking banner combined with Captain Marvel and Disney movies, animated stuff that's happening. And just looking at it, you're like, it's happened. Like, it's one of those things I couldn't believe. Like, you read in the news stories, I'm like, yeah, we've been talking about it for so long that I was kind of numb to it. I'm like, yeah, it's happened. Yeah, we've been talking about it for years at this point, surely. But it wasn't until I went on that website and saw the banner that I was like, oh, fuck. It's a new world. It's a new world out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was only like a decade ago that they bought Marvel, and that was kind of a huge jump forward. Obviously, then they bought Star Wars and
ESPN and whatever the fuck else along the way.
Well,
do
not
we
ESPN.
think that
they have
20th Century Fox is like gone? Like we'll never see that title card ever again on a new project?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I feel like they will use that for certain things, or maybe for
I
like
don't know
TV
what.
sort of things.
Because when they bought Lucasfilm, it went changed to Disney, didn't it?
Well, Disney brought Star Wars,
Yeah.
so they changed the logo obviously because they couldn't. They wasn't gonna. That's
Wait,
why.
wasn't 20th Century Fox the guys who had the rights to Star Wars?
They have the
Yeah.
publishing rights to their.
Publishing rights
They
to
did
the
it
first three.
originally. That's why,
original, yeah.
like, there was
Yeah.
that whole thing where people got mad because when they re-released the Blu-rays and stuff, it didn't have the da, 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 and then of course, it was 20.
Yeah.
It was the 20th Century Fox fanfare leading into the opening Star Wars song for such a long time. That's kind of what people were aware of, and that's why it was really weird watching episode 7 in the cinema, where sitting there I was like, what's going to happen? Does it just start? Does it just come up a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and then the movie just starts? And that's exactly what happened, and it's kind of what I'm used to now. But at the time I was like, this is weird, like, because you're so used to this build up, or I was so used to the build up from watching all those movies as a kid and stuff, so that was weird. But for the label, I think they'll be using it for sure, because it's like they've got Avatar. James Cameron's putting those movies out eventually, I suppose. They're not going to put them out under the Disney banner now. They'll still put them out under the 20th Century Fox label, I suppose. Along with other things like that, is what I'd guess. Like another Alien movie comes out, they're going to put it under the it comes up the Disney castle, like, and it's like the Alien movie. So I feel like there's stuff there that warrants that label still. It's apart from their MCU label, their Disney label. So yeah.
Talking about streaming services, Netflix cancelled the much beloved cult hit TV show, One Day at a Time, which was a sort of family sitcom drama around a Latino family, which caused much uproar over the internet, over Twitter, after its cancellation. And in the fallout, there's been Deadline's done a report where they've sort of looked into a few more of Netflix business practices, because people have been looking for a new place for the show to come back. But apparently, written to almost every single deal that they do with any outside TV series, they have a stipulation that says they can't jump to another site or service for another 2 years, which is why a lot of the Marvel shows are not being picked up straight away, and we haven't seen American Vandal be picked up anywhere yet. There apparently seems to be a loophole for One Day at a Time where it's only limited to any streaming service. So it seems like the door is open for any traditional broadcasting network or cable network to pick the show up. So like your ABC, Fox, CBS, TBS, something like that can pick it up. So I'm assuming neither of you watched the show.
No, never even
Nope.
heard of it.
No.
I did see the uproar though.
Yeah. But the more interesting thing is it sort of shone more of a light on Netflix's business practices. It's widely known that Netflix employs a cost-plus model, offering to pay upfront a show's production costs plus a premium of 30+% of the costs. Even after Netflix subtracts a distribution fee, outside studios are at break-even or in a positive territory from day one, versus having to deficit finance a series for the first few seasons on more traditional networks. In exchange for the upfront payments, outside studios are give up the potential upside that normally comes with owing a long-running successful series, including off-network and international sales. Instead of getting a big payout from these type of sales later in a show's life, these shows receive bonuses from Netflix after each season. Shows from outside studios reportedly cost about 20% more than Netflix produced shows, and while these bonuses don't hit extreme heights, they will jump with each successive season. The bonuses for in-house Netflix originals can skyrocket from a range in the hundreds of thousands of dollars all the way up to millions of dollars after a third season. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that a lot of these shows get cancelled after their third season. Shows like Love, Bloodline, Hemlock Grove. The only real shows that have lasted longer than 3 seasons have been that aren't original Netflix shows, are Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, Fuller House, and The Ranch. Even Narcos was technically wrapped up after 3 seasons and then rebranded as a brand new show, I guess, under a new deal. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting look at their sort of thought process. They also factor in that a lot of shows don't get new viewers into them once they hit their 3rd or 4th seasons. Because obviously there's so many episodes, it's just too much of a mountain to climb. So then they'd rather cancel it and then try and create something new that people draw a bunch of people in.
It makes sense.
Thought process.
Yeah.
Most of the time, shows are more interesting when they're just coming out, and then people try them out, and that's when they're most buzzworthy, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I get it from a business point.
Yeah, I don't feel like this is anything bad, to be honest. Like, they know full well what they're getting into when they sign the contract to begin with. Like, it's not like it's brought up like, oh, by the way, this is part of the contract now. But yeah, it's just part of doing business in the industry, I guess.
Yeah.
If you want to be on Netflix, this is the way that they do business.
Yeah. Very interesting, though, to just see the thought process and why certain
well,
shows... Because they don't show any numbers, which is the most frustrating thing about everything.
This is why Nailed It got its holiday season put into something else.
Well, I think that's a Netflix-produced show, so it would make a difference.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know the ins and outs, but yeah. Interesting. So we've got some more information about the Dark Tower TV series. It's coming to Amazon, Nick. I know you're a huge fan of the movie starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. No?
No.
Not a fan?
No, not at all.
So apparently they've cast Roland the Gunslinger and the Man in Black. Roland the Gunslinger will be played by Sam Strike, who apparently has been in Leatherface, Timeless, EastEnders, MI High. He looks very fresh-faced and born 1994, so, young.
Well, from what I've read, it's based off the Wizard and Glass novel, which is kind of like a backstory of Roland.
Prequel, sort of this story. And then the Man in Black will be played by Jasper Payakin.
Say that with the proper accent necessary.
No, thanks, I'm good.
I just saw it written.
Who's been in Vikings and was in Spike Lee's Black Klansman. So, are you excited?
I know this guy.
What?
I just saw the picture. I was like, I remember him from the movie now.
It's hard to be excited anything Dark Tower related adaptations after that movie, but I will watch it to check it out because how big of a fan I am of the books.
Yeah. Do you think this is a good starting off point? Obviously, this is the 4th book in the series, and then for it to be...
I don't know. You can kind of read that book as a separate kind of thing, which is kind of like a point of contention in the book reader's kind of social circle, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. It'll be a good jumping on point for people who are kind of interested or don't have much of a knowledge about it. So kind of like start the story from the beginning. But it'll be interesting to see how they adapt it, if they're collaborating with Stephen King directly, or if they're just gonna like add kind of stuff not really part of the canon already. So it'll be interesting.
Definitely. So we got some more news about the To All the Boys I Ever Loved and Before sequel. We already knew that Lana Condor and Loa Ciento had signed on to be in the next movie. Now we've confirmed that the rest of her family is going to be in this next film. But the big change is that they've Susan Johnson, who directed the film, is not going to be returning as director, and will be replaced by Michael Fimognari, who was the director of photography, which I think is good, because one of the best things I liked about that film was the cinematography, even if I realized it later.
Let's not forget that last time we brought this guy up, I pointed out that he did the cinematography for both To All the Boys I've Loved Before and the House
Haunting of House Hill.
Haunting of Hill House, yeah. So
yeah,
he knows how to work a camera.
He knows how to work a camera in both scary ways and non-scary ways. Hopefully, season 2 of Tell the Boy, the second film, will have a very long and confusing one shot where they go up and down cranes and stuff,
back and forth through time. And
yeah.
yeah, it's obviously Susan Johnson has said she's leaving because of time restraints in her schedule. She couldn't make it work. But a few people I've seen online have been a bit upset that they've decided to replace another woman with a man. So a woman launches a franchise and then gets replaced by a man. Obviously, Twilight was a similar thing, where the first film was directed by a woman and then the rest were directed by men.
Yeah, I can't say I'm a fan.
And 50 Shades of Grey.
Why couldn't we wait for her? Why couldn't we wait for her to be available?
Yeah.
What was the problem?
I don't know. I guess they want to get it out as soon as possible. You don't want that little sister to age too much. If they want to. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem because obviously he was on board for the first film and is part of the family in quotation marks. But yeah, I can see how it's not a great look, especially in the times we live in at the moment.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm not going to be up in arms about it, but it's still just it's one of those things where anytime you read something that's like timing constraints, I'm like, what, how bad? Did you just have to wait an extra 6 weeks? Did you have to wait an extra month?
I don't know because there's no information on what she's working on next.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm like, I need more information here. Why couldn't we wait? Why couldn't you just wait? Is it really that bad?
I don't know. Maybe it's acting schedules as well. I don't know. Because it's not on the list, but that Noah guy is being looked at to be He-Man in the He-Man movie that they're looking to do.
No,
yeah,
we should cancel that. We should cancel that.
It's an odd choice. And then final news story. After 15 seasons, Supernatural, the CW TV show, will be coming to an end. I believe neither of you are fans of the show.
The evil is vanquished, finally, from the earth. Scorched.
I
Beast.
really enjoyed the show for the first 5 seasons.
I enjoyed it for the first 2 seasons, which was 30 fucking years ago.
But obviously it had a fan base. I don't disparage people for liking it. It's just it wasn't for me after that.
No, yeah. I definitely think you saw there was definitive endpoint after the season 5 where it could have easily wrapped up.
Well, the original showrunner had written a 5-season arc and that was meant to be the endpoint, but then because of how successful it was the studio, he moved on and they just kept on till it became the monster it is today.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's got a massive fan base. Every time I go to a con, I see people dressed up as the characters. Mostly because it's pretty simple to do. You just put on a couple of jackets.
And I think too, the studio, I can see a situation where the studio had sat down the 2 leads and go, look, let's be real here, you're not going to be big tier actors in properties the way that you want to be. This is kind of like your best chance at prolonged, I guess, success and financial kind of security as well to keep it going.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a way to coax them into continue doing the show.
Yeah, probably.
Because there was points there where they were going off and doing other other movies other projects like that My Bloody Valentine. Yeah,
some massacre.
And let's face it, they weren't.
I'll have you know
at all.
That us true Supernatural fans remember Jensen Ackles from his role in Supernatural. Not from Smallville.
I think everyone knows him
for his role in Smallville.
Yep.
And us true fans remember Jared Pencil, whatever his name is.
Padalecki.
Yeah, that one. From his hit role as the boyfriend in The Gilmore Girls. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Which goes back to last episode that without Smallville, we wouldn't have these shows.
Yeah, I think without Smallville, the CW wouldn't be a thing. But
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, this show has been running, keeping that network surviving for 15 years until the superhero boom. I dropped off towards mid-season 10, so I'd been with the show for a long time. I also just popped in my mind, Jensen Ackles also voiced Red Hood in the Under the Red Hood animated special. It was really good. But yeah, for them to do this, leading that show and being pretty much the only core cast of that show for 15 years is pretty impressive. I can't think of many other shows that have a very slim cast. What show?
MASH.
They had a much bigger ensemble cast.
Not necessarily.
There was like 8 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't throughout the whole thing, though. There's only like 2 or 3 characters were throughout the whole thing.
Anyway. Like Arrow, this is also getting a last season to wrap things up, so it's good they're like giving us notice.
It's having a crossover.
Maybe. There was always talk of imagination. Although I think I've read places they would have preferred to have a crossover with the Vampire Diaries and then, wipe them all out.
We can finally get Misha Collins off to do something else.
Yeah.
And use his talents better.
I think I read that they were going to get Jeffrey Dean Morgan back for.
He was back.
Oh, he was?
Because of the episode.
Maybe that's what I read.
400
he was their dad,
or something.
wasn't he? Or something like that?
Yeah,
he was their father.
He launched his career, arguably.
Excuse me?
Well, that's where I knew him from. When
Yeah.
you started
No.
hearing other things.
No.
I didn't
refuse
say
to
that
believe
is
this.
where he's most known from. That's where I knew him from.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Everything
Oh.
after that was smaller roles. All right. So that's the end of the news. I did want to ask one more question of you guys. So in the past fortnight, we got the Toy Story 4 trailer. And Dylan sort of brought up a point that looking back at the first 2 movies, they're not as impressive or harder to go back to because obviously Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 look so incredible and so detailed and that sort of thing. So I want to ask, would you be against Pixar or any animation studio going back and remaking or remastering Toy Story or films of that ilk, 3D animated films of that era that could possibly a bit harder to watch?
Yes, because I don't trust them not to fuck up other shit.
But you're happy for them to go back and redo Crash Bandicoot and Spyro video games?
This is true.
It is true, and I think I think the difference is that they're just that it's movie. I'm sitting back, I'm watching, right, and because these things like Toy Story have such memories my memories are them as a film. Sitting back, key moments. I know exactly what they look like. Blah 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 blah. When it comes to something like Crash, right, Crash Team Racing as the example, if I think about playing that game. It's about the moment-to-moment gameplay, and in my mind, if I think about it, it looks as good as they're remaking it now in my memories, right? Because it's more about what I'm actually doing and I'm interacting with it because it's a video game. My memories and stuff is more associated to that. It's like I remember when the Crash remake came out, and I was like, when I actually saw how bad it used to look compared to now, I'm like, holy shit! I thought it always looked a lot much better than that. But the thing about Toy Story, because it is, it's a movie. You're sitting back, you're taking it all in. So I don't know. Plus, movies have a bad track record, of course, with the Star Wars films and stuff, compared to games, which have a better track record with remaking stuff and up-resing stuff. And here's a HD like we've been getting HD collections of games since the PS3 generation. We've just been getting these packages coming out pretty often now. HD remaster, blah, 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 blah. Whereas with movies, remakes come out, people scream, no, Ghostbusters, fuck. They they change things. Star Wars, no, George Lucas, you fucked everything up. Like, movies don't have a good track record when it comes to these sorts of ideas, I guess.
I have nothing against them doing it. As long as the version that they put out afterwards isn't the only version that you're able to watch.
Yeah.
A la Star Wars.
Yeah. I would...
I don't have a problem.
You don't have a problem? I would definitely love to see a Toy Story version done pretty much shot for shot, just animated with the same level of art and high detail that we see in the Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. And I think if they re-release Toy Story with the updated graphics, they'd make a butt ton of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort.
It is a lot of effort.
But they got Disney money.
They have Disney money.
They're putting it all into doing the live action remakes, though, I suppose. How about a live action Toy Story? Are we down for this?
No.
As long as it's stop motion with actual toys.
You ever see that movie, Toy Soldiers?
Yes.
Yes.
Like
that doesn't hold
will
up.
not
You mean
be-
Small Soldiers?
Small Soldiers.
Okay, yeah. Toy Soldiers is like the
One of
more
the best
adult-
movies ever made.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. Let's just have Toy Story like that, though. Like Small Soldiers, yeah.
No, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Sounds amazing.
Even that they should go back and redo the CGI.
No. I should watch that. We should watch that movie. It's been a while.
I love that movie. Absolutely adore that movie.
All right. Seeing as Nick
Oh, no.
said it wasn't going to happen, we haven't played in a while, I'm just going to say screw you. And we're going to decide which would you rather watch. This is a segment in which we go to flickchart.com. The site gives us 2 movies. We have to decide which one we'd rather watch. But if we haven't seen one or we haven't seen both, it goes into our list of shame, which is filled with a lot of movies that I haven't watched.
Are people able to get a link to this to see our link of shame?
They can.
List of shame?
Keep in mind that our top 20 list is not very accurate and has not been refined very well because the top movie at the moment on that list is Scary Movie. So,
You should do a hyperlink for this.
yeah, I'll put a look in the show notes below if you want to have
Make
a look.
a hyperlink. We don't have it currently, but we'll explosionnetwork.com/flickchart.
Yeah.
Sure.
Done. Explosionnetwork.com/flickchart.
Just got to remember to put it in. All right.
Yep.
So the first 2 movies are School of Rock and Minority Report. School of Rock.
I have not seen Minority Report.
Intriguing.
Intriguing. All right. Then we have School of Rock and Toy Story.
You set this up.
I did not. I would say Toy Story as long as it's remastered. No. It would have to be Toy Story.
School of Rock.
Yeah, this is tough.
I
Yeah,
need Jack Black doing AC/DC. I can't.
Yeah, probably School of Rock.
No? Okay. Remember, you don't like animation, so... Next films are National Lampoon's Vacation and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Is National Vacation the one where they go to end up in Vegas?
I am not sure. I'm looking that up now because I know I've seen a few of them, but I don't know which ones they are.
Goblet of Fire. I don't care for these Lampoon's movies much anymore these days. I don't think they hold up for me personally.
Yeah, I'm just going to say Goblet of Fire. I'm pretty sure I've seen this.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. Haven't seen that one. Alright, Matrix Revolutions. The 3rd movie in the Matrix series. I think that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Versus Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I would say Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I guess Harry Potter.
That's the one where it takes it up a notch. I think.
No, it's not. It's the one before that. Prisoner of Azkaban's when they start going a bit darker.
That's the one where Twilight Dude dies.
Yeah.
Yep. Meet the Parents versus American Pie.
American Pie.
Yeah, I'd say American Pie.
Is Meet the Parents the first one?
Meet the Parents is the first one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, probably American Pie.
Yeah.
Then you've got
Seminal
Meet the
movie.
Fuckers.
Meet the Parents is probably a better movie, but I think for our age group, American Pie is definitely a more,
Prominent.
I guess, kind of,
Important.
prominent and, yeah.
Next films are Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone
Use the
for
proper
normal
title,
people.
please.
Yeah, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone versus Ghostbusters 2.
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2 for me.
These all suck.
I prefer Ghostbusters 2 to the first one.
First one's hard to watch.
Oh, yep. Ew. Ew. You're nasty. Get down to that sewer they spent half the movie in and stay there.
I will. The goo dances.
Does, and then they got the Statue of Liberty at the
The
end.
Ghostbusters reboot is better than Ghostbusters 2.
I
Take
can't
that.
comment to that.
Take that.
Maybe.
Internet. Take that, internet dweebs.
The next movies are Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, and Hancock. I haven't seen Interview with the Vampire.
I haven't seen Interview with the Vampire Chronicles either.
That's really the title, I forgot.
The 2 movies are Children of Men and Hancock. It's Children of Men, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Children, man.
I'd put that over quite a few movies.
All right. So the next films are Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6 versus Ronin. I have not seen either of these films.
Neither have I.
Next two are Ace Ventura When Nature Calls versus The Godfather Part 2.
Oh, you've seen The Godfather Part 2?
Yes, I've seen Godfather Part 2. I've seen all the Godfathers.
I'll
Except
pick
the video
Godfather.
game. I would say Godfather Part 2, yeah.
I'd say Ace Ventura.
Depends on the mood, I guess. Next ones are National Treasure versus Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I haven't watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. National Treasure versus Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Anchorman.
Anchorman. Though, man. National Treasure. The Incredible Hulk, 2008 version starring Edward Norton, versus Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Episode 1.
Yeah, I'd have to say Episode 1.
Yeah, Episode 1, definitely.
Take that, internet dweebs.
12 Angry Men versus Finding Nemo. I haven't seen 12 Angry Men.
Neither have I.
I don't know if I have.
Finding Nemo versus Austin Powers and Goldmember. I have to go Finding Nemo.
I'd watch Austin Powers.
Nemo. Go Nemo.
Continue evidence of his animation hate. Tropic Thunder versus Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Tropic Thunder.
GoldenEye versus Sin City.
Sin City.
GoldenEye, 10 times out of 10.
Nah, Sin City.
GoldenEye for me was my first Bond movie, and it's just been like my favourite ever since.
Yeah, I might have to go with Nick on this one. GoldenEye. Because it's a live action version of the video game. It's crazy.
The first successful video game adaptation.
Yeah, I know. Back to the Future versus Final Destination. I haven't seen a Final Destination movie.
I'm unsurprised.
I know. Back to the Future versus Titanic.
Back to the Future.
We're all
I'd
going
probably
Back
watch
to the Future.
Titanic, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I'm kind of met on Back to the Futures.
Well, Back to the Future's kind of met on you too, right?
Good.
Yeah.
They got to go back. Marty.
Ice Age versus the 1965 film Give Me a Complaints Book, which I'm pretty sure none of us have seen.
never heard of it. So, yeah.
I'm surprised Ashley hasn't seen that one.
Ice Age versus Puppet Master 2.
I haven't
Have you
seen Puppet
that?
Master 2.
I haven't seen Puppet Master 1 either. Ice Age versus Shrek the Third.
Shrek. I hate Ice Age movies.
I don't know if I've seen the third one. But I would still rather watch Shrek over it.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen it. Ice Age versus Liar Liar.
Liar.
Easy one. And our last one. The Bourne Identity versus True Lies.
True fucking lies, mate. Anyone says anything otherwise, they're off the show.
It's a hard one.
Oh, yeah.
That's
The Bourne Identity sort
Schwarzenegger's
of changed
and-
action movies for the next however many 15 to 17 years.
I feel like they're both important films in their own regard.
Yeah.
Which one would I rather
does Bourne
watch?
Identity have Bill Paxton pissing himself?
Which one would I rather watch? And as it says on the screen right now, you got to pick one. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going Bourne Identity.
We're going True
Sorry.
Lies.
Thank you, Ashley.
That little bit of fun. All right, that's
Did me
been
dirty.
Which would you rather watch? Another enthralling installment. But now we need to move into what did we end up watching? Nick, what did we end up watching?
13. Ghosts.
This Halloween,
You're wasting your time. It's all sealed up.
the only thing worse than being trapped in a house with a ghost
This house is not a house. We're in the middle of a machine. Powered by the dead.
is being trapped in a house with 13 ghosts.
Maggie! What? We got company.
Where? I can't see. How close is it?
Close enough to hurt you. Go, 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 go!
Yes, 13 Ghosts, the 2001 Canadian-American supernatural horror film directed by Steve Beck. Not 13, the 2003 American independent drama directed by Catherine Hardwicke, starring Evan Rachel Wood, Holly Hunter, and Nikki Reed.
I wish we watched that.
Yeah, which is the movie that Nick told us we were going to watch, but then realised it wasn't called that.
Funnily enough, I didn't realise until I looked some information up about it. It's actually a remake.
A remake.
Yeah,
It is.
I had no idea.
It's a remake of a 1960 film called 13 Ghosts, also, but 13 with the actual number. This one's with the word 13, but then with the
number 13 in there.
The T and the I replaced with an 1 and a 3, which kind of sets the tone for this film. Nick, why'd you pick this film?
Because I remember watching it quite a lot on my UMD, on my PSP.
Yeah.
And enjoying it quite a lot. And I wanted to rewatch it, but I also wanted to subject you to it.
Okay. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this film?
This is the worst fucking movie we've watched on this podcast so far. The worst movie. And we've watched a few crappy things. But this is the worst. This takes the bucket. I fell asleep in this fucking movie.
Did you at least go back and watch from where you fell asleep?
Fuck no, I didn't care.
You missed crucial plot points that might have
I
changed
fell
your
asleep for like
interest.
10 minutes.
I
I
think
woke
you
up.
just need to subject yourself to it again. Without
They're
falling
running
asleep
they're
to be
running
able to
through a
review this
corridor at
properly.
one stage. What's his face from Shaggy's overacting, and then I fall asleep for like 10 minutes. I
Matthew
wake up,
Lillard is in this film.
Shaggy's still overacting. This movie's so bad. We should explain what it is. Here's a synopsis. When Cyrus Kriskos, a very rich collector of unique things, dies, he leaves it all to his nephew and his family, all including his house, his fortune, and his malicious collection of ghosts. Yes, this movie is about a guy who collects ghosts. That's right. That's the thing that happens. And then he puts them all into a glass house of emotion. And he sleeps on top of that glass house of emotion. And then one day, Tony Shalhoub's family is like, hey, your uncle's dead. You've got the house now. And they show up there, and it's the weirdest looking, creepiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're like, this seems cool. Let's go.
Yeah, this is the coolest house I've ever seen. I really want to live here. With all this fucking creepy writing all over the place and sliding doors that don't have any handles or anything.
Yeah, and then Shaggy turns up. He was a ghost protector.
He's pretending to be, he was a ghost hunter and psychic. You knew the uncle guy.
Yeah, and he's constantly being like, well, just fucking eating up the scene. Do you know I can act? I was in Scream, motherfucker.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is easily the dumbest movie we've watched. The stupidest movie. I don't know if it's the worst. I mean,
that's
A Field in England is right up there. But at least
Well, you know,
A Field in England was attempting to do something.
You know, I didn't hate Field in England, so
Yeah.
my bar is definitely like I was. This went through my floor and shot to the bottom of the ground. This film, this is bad. This is.
Can I say something? It's
ahead.
not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I really enjoy it for some reason.
I don't know why.
What? You still enjoy it?
I don't see
the acting wasn't. It's definitely a case of exquisite acting, but I just really like the set design. I think from a
That is the
practical
one good
standpoint-
point of this film.
and
that
I
set
did
is
like the
incredible.
design of the ghosts and stuff too.
Yeah. They're a little generic. But I guess that was kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they actually built that was pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah, just filming that would have been a pain in the ass. With all those glass mirrors and trying to figure out where everything is set. Although, to be fair, they could have been anywhere. I didn't know where they were at any point of time in respect to anybody else. There was no continuity at all.
It's quite odd that it was all glass and they couldn't see each other through it.
Also, at the start, they're like, Yeah, so you know, this glass, it's fucking soundproof, right? You can't hear anyone through it. 10 minutes after that scene, someone gets locked into a different room and then they're outside talking to him through the glass. I was like, how do you write a script and set up like rules for your movie and then turn the page and then be like, yeah, and then they're standing outside the glass and they say this fucking line.
I believe the director's only directed 2 movies as well, this and Ghost Ship.
Well, Ghost Ship
Yes.
I have watched, and it only stands out from that one scene right at the start of the movie where everyone gets cut in half by a fucking giant razor beam wire that goes through them. So
And someone gets cut in half in this movie.
it's true. This is true. I don't know how that worked out when it happened, but it's the thing that happened.
The door closed on him.
I also think it's really weird that he is financially insecure and doesn't seem to have any money, and then it looks like they're going to lose a home, but somehow they have enough money to pay for a nanny. I just feel like they threw her in because they needed a black character in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That's what it was.
I mean, yeah, it is weird that they're like, I'm so fucking poor. I can pay for this nanny or whatever. Yeah, I agree. It's very weird.
Well, they need to
But
pay her to look after the kids while he's at work.
I was going to say, I gave this a 2 on Trakt, right? And the only reason I gave it a 2, not a 1, is because the production design is at least an interesting aspect and has effort gone into it. Other than that, it's trash. The only other movie I've gave a 2 to on this show was I gave Emo the Musical a 2, and I would put this below that on the 2 scale. So that's what I'm comparing it to. Emo the Musical was my lowest ranked What Do You Want to Watch movie. This is now tied for it, but I would still put it below it. I just want everyone to know, in case they look up Dylan's rankings, it's like, well, he gave that a 2. Maybe he thinks this one's better. No, clarification, this is worse than Emo the Musical.
Oh, man. It was interesting, the kill with the lawyer guy. I don't know if that's anatomically correct or if that's physically possible.
I don't think so.
No.
It's really sharp glass.
I feel like that's a health and safety hazard to have glass doors that are that sharp.
You'd like if they cared about that when he was building a house to trap ghosts to eventually release and murder people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
And then-
what was his big plan? I still don't really understand.
It was meant to, I don't know, after something happened, a spell or something that was supposed to open an
Portal
eye
to
to
hell.
hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It
all
was
I
meant
got.
to give him, like, so you can see the
The
past
house
and
is a
the
machine
future
powered by captive ghosts that allow its user to see the past, present, and future.
And apparently Tony Shalhoub needed to die in a certain way for it to
The 13th ghost.
happen. Yeah.
It needed to be the 13th ghost, who, which is someone who died because of pure love.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, that seems like an easy-ish ghost to find.
You'd think
Like,
so,
how many
but they
people
don't
have
hang
just
around.
dived in front of other people while they're getting shot or something?
They mustn't hang
because I love
around.
them
Those
so
ones
much.
must go. They mustn't, can't catch them.
You know? Just do some more research. And then this Kalina person, the person who shows up halfway through the movie, all of a sudden, and then double crosses him at some point, that character made no more sense.
Yeah.
Like, why is she making out with the dude? She's angry. They've been fighting before. It just, the turn came out of nowhere. It made no sense whatsoever. Which I guess in this context makes sense because it's that kind of movie. Yeah, this is just bad. Bad.
So everyone go out and watch it.
Yeah, sure.
Matthew Lillard did this, and then the following year he did Scooby Doo.
And it's on Scooby-Doo ever since.
I mean, it makes sense. He just had a couple of those Scooby snacks with some marijuana in them. Yeah.
I have not seen acting delivered the way that Matthew Lillard delivers acting in this movie. It is, from the moment the movie starts, he is something. Now,
Oh, man.
I honestly, I think I must dodge really bad acting pretty decently for quite some time, because as soon as this movie started, I was just like, "Whoa, it's been a while since I've had to watch something this rough." Like, I'm 2 minutes in. I was like, "What's this? Did you get directed at all, or did you just show up and chat and be like?"
This is what I'm doing.
Well, guys, the ghosts are coming for us. Whoa, look out. So, if I touch you, I get fucking telekinetic powers.
I saw someone describe this as a Scooby-Doo kind of movie, but the ghost ends up actually being ghosts.
I mean,
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo's better than this.
At least you like the characters and they've got common sense. I mean,
And better CGI.
Hey, this was 2001, mate.
Okay, the Phantom Menace
Scooby-Doo was
came out in-
2002.
Phantom Menace came out in 1999.
Yeah.
Take that in your smoke and pipe it.
Oh, and man, Tony Shalhoub trying to channel his future and Liam Neeson. I just want to find my kids. I don't care about any of this. I need to find my kids.
So what did any of them had a career after this? A lot of them really didn't.
Yeah, most of them.
Old Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah,
She is in this movie. That's fact.
she is.
13 Ghosts. Watch it on UMD or don't watch it at all.
The 2001 version. Far out.
By the way, I looked up. So the random trivia I had that was interesting was that original film. You had to wear special glasses to see the ghosts or something. in the
Oh,
movie.
yeah. How?
Yeah. So it wasn't 3D, but it was like an effect or something. We had to wear glasses.
Oh,
So
the
that's why-
audience had to wear glasses.
Hey?
Did you say
The audience had to wear glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to be able to see the ghosts. And people, I was looking up and apparently people confuse it that they think that movie's 3D when it's not. It's just something to do with whatever. You need the glasses to be able to see the ghosts on the
They
screen.
must have done some sort of effect.
Something. But
I
that's
wonder
why
if you
in this
get
movie,
it now, you still need to wear the glasses. I try to watch it now.
I'm not sure. But that's why in this movie, one of the only key elements from the original that remains in this remake is that the characters in the movie have to wear glasses to be able to see the ghosts.
With
That's where
LEDs shining in their eyes.
Yeah, that's where that ridiculous element kind of comes from.
Oh, okay. Apparently it involves something with red and blue filters. So, interesting. The only interesting thing to come out of this conversation.
Yep.
All right, that's been this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Nick, where can people find you on Trakt, the awesome TV and movie tracking service, and maybe on Twitter?
No, only on Trakt. Lord and Prior, PRIOR.
Okay, Dylan, where can people find you on Trakt and definitely on Twitter?
Vivaladil, VIVALADIL.
Yep, and you can find me those two places at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow the Explosion Network at Twitter at Explosion Pod. Of course, you can head to twitch.tv/Explosion Network to subscribe to our Twitch and help us out. You've got one of them free Amazon Prime subscriptions that you can use every month. Do it over there. That'd really be nice. Or you can head over to youtube.com/Explosion Network to see reacts, reviews, discussions, and other stuff that with video form things. Then you can always go to explosionnetwork.com to see all our written content and find all our content, including other podcasts like the aforementioned Arcade Couch. You can go over to explosionnetwork.com/Discord to join our Discord, where we talk about stuff in the Discords. If you want to send us an email, it's over at mail@explosionnetwork.com. And if you really want to help us out, leave us a review, either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or just tell your friends, or capture 13 ghosts and tell all the ghosts about the What Do You Want to Watch, and then set them free, because nobody wants to see the past, future, and present, especially a mad man who captures ghosts. That's so...
Be kind, rewind.
Be kind, rewind. Until next time. Keep watching stuff, I guess.
Every Saturday, listen to a brand new episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's variety video game podcast. Sit back, relax on the best couch to chill with your friends and hear about the latest industry news, as well as our opinions on the latest releases and what we've been playing. Just search your podcasting app for Arcade Couch and subscribe for free now. Like now. Do it. You've got a friend in me. Da-da-da. You've got a
friend in me.